There is no darkness that can withstand the light of truth. No force, no shadow, no whisper of fear can remain when you stand in the authority given to you. The world you experience is not just physical. It is shaped by the unseen, by the power of belief, by the words you declare. If you feel an oppressive presence in your home, if fear lingers in the corners of your mind, know this: you were never meant to live in bondage. You were never meant to bow to fear. You have been given the power to command, to transform, and to banish every force that does not belong. Tonight, we are going to speak 3 verses that will destroy any demon, any negative force that has dared to enter your space. But more than that, we will unlock a truth that will ensure they never return. Words are not mere sounds. They are the carriers of power, the builders of reality, and the destroyers of darkness. Everything that exists was first spoken into being, for speech is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between thought and manifestation. The moment you speak, you send a command into the invisible forces that govern reality. What you affirm with conviction begins to shape the world around you, whether for good or for destruction. Consider this: in ancient texts, the divine did not create with hands, but with words. Let there be light, and light emerged from the void. The act of speaking was the act of creation. This principle has never changed. Even today, the words you release are shaping your environment, your experiences, and even the forces that operate within your space. Demons, whether they are external entities or internal forces of fear, doubt, and oppression, thrive in the silence of an unguarded mind. They grow stronger in a house where words of fear and defeat are spoken without thought. When you say, "I am afraid," you invite fear. When you say, "I am cursed," you open the door to misfortune. But when you stand and declare, "I am protected, I am victorious, I am filled with divine authority," the very fabric of your reality begins to shift. The spoken word does not ask permission, it commands. Every syllable carries vibration, and vibration moves matter. This is why ancient teachings emphasize the power of declaration. When you speak with unwavering faith, you are not merely uttering sounds. You are releasing a force that alters the unseen and forces it into alignment with the truth you declare. Throughout history, great leaders, prophets, and mystics have understood this secret. They did not beg for change, they spoke it into existence. They commanded illness to leave, darkness to flee, and obstacles to be removed. They understood that words once released become living entities, shaping the very foundation of existence. In your home, in your life, the words you speak daily determine what lingers in the atmosphere. If you constantly speak fear, you create an environment where fear can dwell. If you declare lack, you construct a reality of scarcity. But if you fill your space with words of power, words of faith, and words of authority, no demon, no negative force, no oppressive energy can remain. There is a reason why spiritual texts warn against careless words. Every phrase you utter is a seed planted in the soil of reality. Some seeds produce peace, protection, and strength, while others birth chaos, despair, and destruction. What you speak consistently becomes what you experience inevitably. If you wish to rid your house of darkness, you must first rid your tongue of weakness. If you wish to cast out demons, you must first cast out words of doubt. Your voice, infused with conviction, is the most potent weapon you have. It is the key that unlocks heaven and slams shut the gates of fear. It is the sword that cuts through the veil of illusion and reveals the truth of your divine authority. Speak as one who knows, not as one who hopes. Speak as one who commands, not as one who pleads. For the moment you realize the power of your own words, you will understand that nothing, no force, no entity, no darkness can stand against you. Every great movement, every shift in history, every transformation in an individual's life begins not with action. The world you see around you was once nothing more than an idea, an unseen vision held in the mind before it took form in the physical realm. The home you live in, the clothes you wear, the devices you use, all of these existed first in the imagination of someone who believed in their reality before the world could see it. Your imagination is not some fleeting fantasy or idle daydreaming. It is the foundation of all creation. It is the unseen force that molds reality according to the images you consistently entertain in your mind. The things you dwell upon, the scenarios you repeat within your inner world, the visions you hold, these are the blueprints of your future. Demons, oppression, negativity, these do not appear out of nowhere. They take root in the mind long before they manifest in your surroundings. Fear is first imagined before it is experienced. Defeat is first visualized before it becomes real. If you see yourself as powerless, if you picture yourself as a victim of unseen forces, then your imagination will shape your reality to confirm that belief. Everything begins with an image, and that image, when held with enough conviction, takes form in the outer world. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to what is impressed upon it with emotion and certainty. This is why those who continuously dwell on fear find themselves trapped in fearful circumstances. Those who imagine misfortune see misfortune materialize. The mind, like fertile soil, will grow whatever seed is planted within it, whether good or bad. But just as fear and darkness can be imagined into existence, so too can victory, strength, and divine power. The same law that allows destruction to take form also allows protection and light to manifest. If you see yourself as one who commands authority over your surroundings, if you visualize your space as one filled with divine protection, then no force of darkness can remain in your presence. The greatest secret is this: what you accept as true in your imagination will become true in your life. There is no power greater than the one who consciously directs their thoughts, deliberately choosing what images to cultivate and what visions to reject. The mind is a gateway, and through it, everything in your life is either welcomed or cast out. If you see your home as a place where peace reigns, where no force of evil can enter, then that image will shape the reality around you. If you persist in imagining light filling every corner, in seeing yourself walking in unwavering faith, then that vision will become more real than anything you experience with your physical senses. Your imagination is the first battleground. Before anything can take form in the physical world, it must be accepted in the realm of the mind. When you realize this, you will understand that nothing can hold power over you unless you allow it to take root in your imagination. Names are not merely labels. They are vessels of meaning, carriers of authority, and keys that unlock hidden forces in the universe. A name is more than a word. It is an identity, a declaration, a force that shapes the very essence of what it represents. To name something is to claim dominion over it, to define its nature, and to command its response. This is why, in ancient texts, the power of a name is emphasized above all else. A name is not just spoken, it is invoked. It calls forth the reality of what it represents. From the moment something is named, it takes on a specific energy. Consider the names you speak daily, your own, the names of those you love, the names of things you fear. When you call something by its name, you acknowledge its presence, its reality, and its influence in your life. This is why speaking the right name in the right way can shatter oppression, destroy fear, and dispel darkness. Throughout history, great figures have understood the power embedded in names. Rulers changed their names to signify transformation. Spiritual leaders revealed hidden names that carried divine authority. Names were given in sacred ceremonies because to name something is to give it purpose, destiny, and meaning. The wrong name weakens, the right name empowers. Demons fear names of power because they recognize the authority carried within them. When a name of divine strength is spoken with conviction, darkness cannot remain. It is not the syllables alone that hold power, but the force behind them. The belief, the understanding, the certainty that what is named must respond. In ancient times, names were not spoken carelessly because to speak a name was to activate its power. When you call upon a name of light, you align yourself with the power that name represents. When you declare that your home belongs to divine authority, you seal it with the energy of that declaration. But if you allow names of fear, weakness, and doubt to enter your speech, you give strength to the very forces you wish to banish. This is why words must be chosen carefully. Think about the names you have accepted in your life. Have you named yourself as one who struggles, one who is powerless, one who is afraid? Or have you named yourself as one who is victorious, protected, and untouchable by darkness? The name you accept is the name you become. The name you declare is the name that shapes your destiny. To destroy demons, you do not beg, you do not plead, you declare. You stand in authority, you speak the names that hold power, and you reject the names that weaken you. When you do this, no force, no entity, no shadow can stand against you. Fear is the great destroyer, the silent thief that creeps into the mind and paralyzes the soul. It whispers doubts, magnifies threats, and blinds you to the truth of your own power. Fear does not need to physically attack, it only needs to be believed. The moment you accept fear as real, you surrender control, allowing it to dictate your actions, shape your reality, and invite the very things you dread. But faith is the antidote. Faith is the force that dismantles fear, rendering it powerless in the face of conviction. Faith does not beg for reassurance, nor does it waver in uncertainty. It stands firm, unshaken, immovable. Where fear seeks to bind, faith liberates. Where fear clouds the mind, faith illuminates. But faith does not ask permission, it commands. It reshapes reality in its own image, bending the unseen forces of the universe to its will. Fear and faith cannot coexist. One must always dominate the other. The space that fear occupies in the mind is the space that faith has surrendered. If fear rules your thoughts, it is because faith has been diminished. But when faith is restored, fear dissolves like mist before the rising sun. Fear only has as much power as you grant it. The moment you choose faith, fear is stripped of its strength. Consider how fear operates. It thrives in uncertainty, in the unknown, in the shadows of what if. It does not require proof. It only requires belief. The body reacts to fear as though the threat were real, even when nothing is there. The heart races, the breath shortens, the muscles tense, and all of it happens because the mind has accepted an illusion. Fear does not need substance, it only needs acceptance. But faith works in the same way. Faith, too, does not need to see, it only needs to believe. The one who walks in faith does not require evidence. They know. They step forward into the unseen, not because they have proof, but because they understand that their belief creates the proof. Faith moves mountains because it does not acknowledge their weight. Faith heals the sick because it does not recognize the disease as greater than the power that overcomes it. Faith destroys demons because it does not give them a place to exist. The battle is always one of belief. Fear says, "What if?" Faith says, "It is done." Fear trembles at the unknown. Faith walks forward with certainty. Fear hesitates, doubts, and waits for reassurance. Faith acts as though the victory is already won. Every moment a choice is made, to entertain fear or to strengthen faith, to allow fear to dictate reality or to command reality through faith. Demons, darkness, and oppression have no power where faith is absolute. They cannot enter where faith has sealed the doors. Fear invites them, but faith annihilates them. The question is never whether fear exists, it is whether you allow it to remain. Faith does not fight fear, it replaces it. It does not struggle, it simply declares. The presence of one is the absence of the other, and where faith reigns, fear is nothing but an echo of a lie. Everything you experience, everything you attract, and everything you repel is determined by one thing: your consciousness. Consciousness is the master key, the unseen force shaping the events, circumstances, and energies that surround you. It is not something external, something you must search for or acquire. It is already within you, directing every moment of your life, based on what you accept as real. The world you see is nothing more than a reflection of the world you hold within. If your consciousness is filled with fear, you will see fear wherever you look. If your consciousness is filled with faith, you will walk through life as though no force can stand against you. The outer world bends to the inner state. This is why two people can stand in the same situation, yet experience two completely different realities. One seeing only obstacles, the other seeing opportunities. The difference is not in the world itself, but in the consciousness through which it is perceived. Demons, oppression, negative forces, these do not have power of their own. They feed on consciousness. They thrive where weakness is accepted, where fear is entertained, where doubt is nurtured. A mind that accepts these things as real will experience them as real, but a mind that rejects them, that refuses to give them space in its awareness, will find that they vanish as though they never existed. Consciousness is a magnet. It pulls toward you the things that align with its dominant state. If you dwell in darkness, you will attract darkness. If you fill your mind with light, darkness will not even find an entry point. The world around you is nothing more than a mirror reflecting back to you what you hold within. This is why transformation does not happen through external struggle, but through internal awakening. Your house, your environment, your very life are shaped by the consciousness you maintain. If you believe yourself to be vulnerable, your reality will prove you right. If you believe yourself to be untouchable, your reality will prove you right. Reality does not argue, it simply reflects. It obeys the consciousness that commands it. This is why no external force can truly overpower you unless it first gains access to your mind. Darkness cannot enter where it is not welcomed. Negativity cannot remain where it is not acknowledged. The moment you shift your consciousness, the entire world around you must shift with it. The battle is never against an outside enemy. It is always within, always in the realm of awareness, always in the domain of what you accept as true. The forces that shape your life are not determined by luck, fate, or external circumstances. They are determined by what you consistently entertain in your mind. The key to all power, all protection, all transformation lies in mastering this truth. Whatever you accept in consciousness will manifest in your reality. Whatever you reject in consciousness will cease to exist in your experience. Everything in existence responds to a law more ancient than time itself, the law of declaration, belief, and reception. The words you speak, the beliefs you hold, and the certainty with which you expect results determine the reality you experience. There is no randomness, no external force deciding your fate without your participation. The universe, the unseen forces, the very fabric of creation, all move in accordance with what you declare, what you believe, and what you are willing to receive. The first step is declaration. To declare is to set into motion a command that reality must obey. Every word spoken is an instruction, a signal sent into the unseen realms demanding a response. When you say, "I am victorious," you issue a decree that must materialize. When you say, "I am protected," you establish a barrier that no force can break. When you say, "This house is free from darkness," you remove the very possibility of oppression taking root. But declaration alone is not enough. Words without belief are empty. The second step is belief. You must not only speak the words, you must accept them as absolute truth. You must believe so deeply that doubt becomes impossible, so completely that no opposing force can shake your certainty. What you believe, you create. What you doubt, you block. Belief is the energy that gives life to your declarations. Without it, words are just sound, but with it, words become reality. This is why many fail. They speak words but do not believe them. They declare protection yet secretly fear attack. They speak victory but quietly expect defeat. The universe does not respond to words alone. It responds to the energy behind them. True belief does not waver. It does not check for signs, nor does it question. It knows that once a thing is declared and believed, it must come to pass. And then, the final step, receiving. This is where most people falter. They declare, they believe, but they do not open themselves to receive. To receive is to act as though the thing you desire is already yours. It is to walk in confidence, to think, feel, and behave as if the promise has already been fulfilled. When you declare freedom from oppression, you do not wait to see if it works. You live as if your space is already cleansed. When you declare abundance, you do not wonder if prosperity will come. You move through life as one who already has more than enough. To receive is to accept with gratitude, to stop asking and start thinking, to stop hoping and start knowing. It is the final seal that completes the process. The final act that pulls the unseen. The one who truly receives does not look for proof, does not question the outcome, does not entertain the thought of failure. They have spoken, they have believed, and they have stepped into the reality they have created. This process is absolute. It is unbreakable. It is the key to power, to transformation, to overcoming anything that seeks to oppress or weaken you. The moment you understand this, you will see that nothing, no darkness, no obstacle, no force can stand against the one who declares with conviction, believes without question, and receives with certainty. Everything you seek, freedom, power, protection, and victory, has always been within your reach. It is not something to be begged for, nor is it something that exists outside of you. The key has been and will always be your consciousness, your imagination, your words, and your unwavering belief. The forces that shape your reality are not determined by luck or external circumstances, but by what you accept as true within yourself. When you declare with conviction, believe without doubt, and receive with certainty, no force, seen or unseen, can stand in your way. Fear dissolves, darkness retreats, and every oppressive energy crumbles in the presence of an unshakable mind. Your spoken word holds authority, your imagination crafts reality, and your faith overrides every illusion of limitation. There is no enemy greater than doubt, and there is no weapon more powerful than belief. Stand firm in the truth that what you command, the universe obeys. What you accept, reality reflects. What you reject ceases to exist in your experience. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the architect of your existence. The moment you grasp this truth and live by it, you will find that no demon, no darkness, and no force of opposition can remain in the presence of one who fully understands their power.